Now, most of reality exists in the space between polarity. You think of a child existing in the polarity of the mother and the father, color existing in the polarity of white and black, warm existing in the polarity of hot and cold. The world is in many ways binary. We have extremes. And most of the richness comes in the intelligent ways we combine those extremes consciously with balance. And the greatest sophistication and the greatest levels of well-being, the most scientific way of looking at polarity, is that they are equal. Yin and yang, light and dark, up and down. One is not better than the other. Now, in the cultural overlay of chauvinism towards the masculine or towards the yang, we have for a large amount of time in our culture emphasized outer well-being more than inner well-being, outer development more than inner development, outer acquisition rather than inner acquisition. You can go to a job and learn how to make more money and buy more things, but you won't learn how to generate self-esteem, for example. And the greatest state of grace comes, and it's beautifully articulated in the yin-yang symbol. It's a sphere divided into two equal parts, and the little dots represent the awareness that any extreme eventually comes round to itself in a circular or spherical paradigm. So if you get into a plane and fly east for too long, you end up west. If you are genuinely selfish, and it's all about you. Well, it starts out, you want this, you this and that and the other, you want this, and okay, so I have 5 houses, I have everything that I want. What does more selfish look like? Well, I want to leave my house and be around smiling people. Why? I have mirror neurons. If other people are smiling, I'll be happier. Human states are infectious. I don't want to see homelessness in my city. Well, you can enter your reptilian brain and shoot the homeless, as Hitler did. But being in the reptilian brain is not as fun as being in the empathic brain in a collaborative state of fun, of love and well-being. So if you're really, really, truly selfish and not just self-destructive and ignorant, which is not selfish, that's self-destructive and ignorant. If you're really, truly selfish, you want everyone to be happy, no wars, peace on earth, sustainability. It's more fun if you're selfish to say, you know, I'd like my great-grandchildren to be alive, maybe read this book or letter I write to them. I don't want my book to be burned up in World War III and their barren wasteland. It's not a fun thought. To a healthy human being, it's not a fun thought. I want to be totally happy. I want to be totally free. I want technology to be at its very best so that I can do whatever I want to do easily. I want everyone to be rich. I want everyone to be playful and sensuous. I want people to be sexually competent so that anyone I have sex with knows what they're doing, enjoys it immensely, and so do I. If you really fly east on selfishness, with intelligence, if you actually understand how the brain works, In order to achieve complete and total selfishness, you have to create the exact same world you have to create if you set out in the other direction and say, I want to be totally selfless. I want to do everything for other people. So how do you begin? Well, you make yourself into someone who isn't making other people miserable. You can't cheer people up selflessly if you're depressed. So you got to stop being depressed. You can't selflessly give people the best meal of their lives if you haven't bothered to make any money. You can't selflessly be the best lover they've ever spent time with if you didn't bother to develop your skills as a lover. And you can't be selfless and support wars that hurt the people you're supposedly trying to help. In other words, if you fly west long enough, you come out east, and you fly east long enough, you come out west. Now, this is the science and the mathematics. But cultures are not scientific. The word cult references the dogmatic, self-referential nature of every cult in human history. You look at parts of the cult, they're not sane. They're not intelligent. They're neither selfless or selfish. They are self-destructive. And one aspect of that is the chauvinism that says that you should learn algebra, but you shouldn't learn about your own feelings. Whenever you create a car tire that has a lot more weight on the left side than it does on the right side, you drive that car and it's a bumpy, inefficient ride. And so on this continuum of well-being, you diagnose the imbalance between yin and yang in yourself, in your family, in your work, in your routine, and you move towards symmetry between yin and yang. I'm going to study mathematics, and I'm going to become emotionally literate. I'm going to study how to make money, and I'm going to study how to love my wife. I'm going to study how to type, and I'm going to learn what courtesy is. Yin and yang, masculine and feminine. We're not talking gender here. We're talking about the scientific reality that more well-being emerges if we equally study our inner world and our outer world, men and women, strengths of the masculine, strengths of the feminine, and come together, bring these two parts together inside in a dynamic where the masculine parts of me honor, protect, and enable the feminine parts of me. And the feminine parts of me respect, open to, celebrate the masculine parts of me. And the war of the self, and the contempt and the shame, etc., of a psychologically illiterate and chauvinistic cult becomes the marriage of the inner and outer self, the left and the right, the yin and the yang.